Alright, I think we are live. I kind of like this way. We'll go with the upright today. Yeah, we'll go upright today. So we're pretty much just talking about fantasy football now that the football season is not too far away. Really just a couple weeks away from the 2023 NFL season start. So we're going to be talking through some players to target, some players to avoid, who I like for this season for fantasy, and we're just going to have a good time. So one guy who I really think is a good guy to target, especially if you have maybe a little bit later of a draft pick, is actually Nick Chubb. So at first I wasn't super high on him this year, but he really has no competition in the backfield. The only competition he's going to have is a little bit of Deshaun Watson with he likes to run the ball too. So Chubb could see a little bit of takeaway from that, but he really ended the season pretty well. So I think Chubb is just a solid pick this year. I know in my draft, I picked up Austin Eckler. I know he's getting up there, but he's been consistently super like top 3 for the past 3 years. So Austin Eckler's been consistently very good, especially for PPR and half PPR leagues. Some other guys who I like for this year, I like Tyreek Hill a lot. I think he's just another great target. The only concern about him really is just his production's not going to be quite as good if Tua gets injured again, which could happen for sure. But I like Tyreek. I also drafted him in my league. I like... Who else do I like? You know who I don't love? A lot of people I see are drafting Mark Andrews in like the 3rd round. I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about Mark Andrews. I feel like you're better off if you're not drafting Travis Kelce. I almost feel like you're better off just waiting for, I don't know, a later guy. You can wait later and get Kittle. You can wait even later and get like Pat Freiermuth or however you pronounce it. I don't like it when I don't like reaching on tight ends. I just don't think they're worth it if you're not drafting Kelce. But I think Kelce's gonna have another great year. I know people think Sky Moore might have a pretty good second year. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how that works. Who else? Who else do I want to avoid this year? There's one player I'm really not sure about. People are saying they think he's going to be pretty solid. That's Cam Akers. I don't know. I just have a hard time trusting Rams running backs. Cam Akers does not have a lot of competition in the backfield, but he just scares me. I don't know why. I just have a bad feeling about Cam Akers. I'm not sure. We'll see. He could prove me completely wrong, but we'll see about Cam Akers. You know who I really love this year? Chris Olave. Chris Olave, I wanted to draft him so badly, and he was taking just a couple spots before I could grab him. Chris Olave, last year he had a great year. Now he's going into his 2nd year. He has Derek Carr as quarterback who loves to throw the ball. I think he just has a phenomenal year. I really like Chris Olave this year. I think he's going to have a really good year. So if the pick is right, I would definitely risk picking Olave. I think it's going to work out really well. Who else do I really like this year? I don't know. It's a tough year. Obviously, for quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, all those guys, you can't really go wrong with them for quarterback. Kirk Cousins is actually a decent fantasy quarterback if you want to wait a few extra rounds. he's not bad. He's been pretty solid. He loves to throw the ball, so I think he's worth a look. This year it seems like Justin Jefferson is the consensus for the number 1 overall. He usually goes number 1, McCaffrey number 2. So if you have a later pick, you're probably not going to see either of those players. I like Jefferson. McCaffrey, just you always worry about him getting injured. It's gonna be interesting to see some players. There's just a lot of question marks this year. Cooper Kupp, will he be able to bounce back from injury, along with Stafford? That's gonna be interesting to see. We'll see what kind of year CeeDee Lamb has. We'll see what kind of year Derrick Henry has. Does he have one more good season? I don't want to say it like that, but does he have like one more really good fantasy season left in the tank? Can he stay healthy? That'll be interesting to see. A lot of question marks this year. A lot of question marks. Obviously, Ramondre Stevenson is poised to have a great year. There's a little bit of a question mark now with Zeke Elliott as the RB2. I don't know how it's gonna. Maybe he will steal a few touchdowns. I don't know. We'll see. But I still like Stevenson a lot. He was my keeper for this year anyway, so I got him at a great deal. I got him as like a 10th round keeper, so I'm not gonna lose any value regardless. Tony Pollard should have a really good year. But you know who's been really good in the preseason? Deuce Vaughn. Tell you what, he's been really solid this preseason. Even Wilson, the running back from Green Bay, he's had a really good preseason as well. But it is just preseason, so who knows? Garrett Wilson. I'm not sure what kind of year Garrett Wilson will have. He had a pretty good season last year with not great quarterbacks, so we can only expect that he's going to have a really good year, especially going into his second year. I know a lot of people like Garrett Wilson this year, so we'll see what kind of season he has. The Baltimore wide receiver situation is interesting. They have Zay, they have Odell, and of course they have Mark Andrews as tight end, so I don't know. Zay has looked pretty good. He's looked pretty good. Oh, you know what else is interesting? The Jacksonville wide receivers, Calvin Ridley. See, the thing about Calvin Ridley is I was always a big Calvin Ridley fan, but then he burned me in fantasy when he ended up like leaving the team that one season on the Falcons, and then was it like the following season he was suspended? I don't know. Anyway, Calvin Ridley, like I always liked him a lot as a player. He looked really good in practice. He killed me in fantasy a couple of times, so that was rough. But we'll see what kind of season he has and how they kind of scatter the ball around on offense. But I think they're gonna have a good season. I hate to say it, but I don't think there's really going to be any Patriots wide receivers with a good season. Not good enough to draft them in fantasy. I don't know. Juju might get some points, but as far as touchdowns go, who knows? Who knows? If you're playing full PPR, Juju might be. It depends how many people you have in your league, how many rounds you go, but Juju might be worth something. Davante Adams, it's interesting this year. So with Garoppolo as quarterback, he doesn't like to throw the ball downfield, which is usually how Davante Adams gets a lot of his points. So we'll see how that works out. But it's going to be interesting to see how Davante Adams has a season this year. I think it's not going to be quite as good as last year. Not the same offense. I think you're going to see Garoppolo kind of checking it down a little bit on shorter routes. So we'll see. He might be favoring some other guys. He might be favoring Jacoby Myers, to be honest. He might favor Jacoby Myers and Hunter Renfrow. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Um, what else do we have? I'm trying to think. Jawan Dotson, I like him a lot from Washington. I think he's going to have a really good season. I'm still not afraid to draft. I wouldn't be afraid to draft McLaurin, though. I think he's still going to have a decent season as well. And they did, of course, name Sam Howell the starting quarterback. So I actually think it's going to be a pretty good fit for them. Oh, you know what would be interesting as far as quarterbacks go? Anthony Richardson. So I actually drafted him. We are in a 2 starting QB league. So I drafted Anthony Richardson as my QB2 kind of. I have three quarterbacks. So Anthony Richardson is on the roster. We'll see. He has potential to be like a really good fantasy quarterback, even if he doesn't necessarily do well in the NFL his first season. He has potential to be a good fantasy quarterback and a good potential keeper next season. So I wanted to try to get either him or like Bryce Young or something like that. So I took Richardson. We'll see how that works out. He's not my QB1 anyway, so a little risk, but I think there's a lot of upside there. If you're in a league that does keepers and you go for, your second or third quarterback and you're going for a later round, if one of those younger guys, rookie quarterbacks are there, it's not a bad idea to take one of them, and it could be a potential really, really good keeper the following season. Even in my league, Jalen Hurts, went a little bit later last year, had an amazing season. Now he's a keeper this year. So a lot of these younger quarterbacks, especially the dual threat ones, are just good ideas to pick up. Also, wide receivers, like I was saying earlier, again, rookie wide receivers can be really good, and you can get some of them for not too much. So like last year, Garrett Wilson was drafted very late. This year, he's a keeper, and he's going very, very early this year. So there are certain wide receivers that you can draft as a rookie that have good potential. You can draft them late, so they're not going to dig into your value of what you need this year. And if they turn out to be somewhat decent, then you can bring them back the following season if you are in one of those keeper leagues. So that's always something to look at. It seems to be that way a lot more with wide receivers. Running backs, it's a little bit different of a situation. You're really looking at a young backup behind somewhat of a vet that may be going into free agency or any kind of situation like the Patriots, Cowboys, or Vikings. I guess Patriots were a little different because he was behind Damian Harris, who just had a lot of injuries and wasn't like the kind of running back that Elliott and Cook were. But it's good to look at circumstances like that. So I think who could be really decent this year in fantasy is Alexander Mattison. That would be interesting. I think a lot of people are just kind of forgetting that he exists, but we'll see what kind of season he has. The other thing this year, we have a lot of teams that don't really have one solid starting running back. So you have the Dolphins, and they have Jeff Wilson Jr., and they have a few other guys, and I don't know. It's just there's a lot of teams that just have like committee running backs. The Seahawks, the Eagles, that scares me a little bit. I guess another question is, what do I think about Bijan Robinson? I don't know. He's always looked good his whole career. It does scare me a little bit to draft a rookie in the first round like that, but I personally didn't. I actually passed up on him. Like I said, I took Austin Eckler. I wouldn't feel super good about it unless the pick just really made sense. But that's not to say he won't have a good year. It's just we don't know. He's never played an NFL football season or game before. So I don't think it's a horrible idea to draft him, but I just don't think it's 100%, good season right out the gate. I don't know. Who knows what will happen? I think there's no reason to think he won't have a good season, but you never know. It just worries me a little bit. We have Breece Hall and Dameon Pierce both coming back from ACL injuries, as well as Javonte Williams coming back from, I don't think his was an ACL injury. I think his was just, some other kind of injury. But I still like those guys. there's certain players you just don't want to reach on. You want to kind of let them fall to you. You know who I really do like? I said this already, but Tyreek and Olave, if those guys fall to you, take them. I don't like reaching on Andrews. I said that already. Not really a big fan of that. Who else? I don't even know about the Giants. I have no idea. Who are they going to have for wide receiver? I don't know. I know they picked up Isaiah Hodgins from Buffalo, I think it was, or Minnesota, one of the two. But who are they really going to have as a wide receiver one? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I don't know. I see right now we have 0 on the live. I was hoping we'd actually get some more comments, just to see what everyone's input is for this fantasy season. See who people like, see who people don't like. So I'll see if anyone hops on. Can I even see who's watching? I don't know. Once they actually hop on, I don't know if I can see who is watching or not. It'll be interesting to see how DeAndre Hopkins does this year, being alongside, well, he's on the Titans, so it'll just be interesting. Treylon Burks, he got injured, so I'm not sure if he's even going to be ready for week 1. I think he's missing a few weeks. He had a dislocated shoulder or something. Oh, you know what'll be interesting is the Bills running back situation. They have Damian Harris. They have, what's the other, is it James Cook? Yeah, I think it's James Cook, who I believe is brothers with Dalvin Cook. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform this season. You know who I never really liked as running back? Singletary. Now he's on Houston behind Pierce. I don't know if he's going to steal too much from Pierce, really. I know they might use him as a goal line back, but I was never really a big fan of Singletary. I never was. I'm still not a big fan of him. CJ Stroud will be interesting this year. Again, Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson. We'll see what kind of seasons they have. I don't know. I don't really have too much more to go over in this live stream because there's no one really to ask questions, or not even questions, but just like give their input and opinion on different fantasy players. This chair is squeaky. I need to get a different chair that isn't so squeaky too. Oh, I might wrap this up at 20 minutes, but we'll see. We'll see if we should do any more of these. Once the season starts, it'll be a little more interesting to see how fantasy goes this year. But I might do another live. I might do just a regular, like, not really soap review live stream, but just a soap review hangout live type video and see what kind of people hop on, So, all right, we're going to wrap this up. We will see you next time.